Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that might make you reconsider that one-way ticket to paradise. That's right, we're talking about expat regret, those moments when the honeymoon phase of living abroad wears off, and you're left wondering, what have I gotten myself into? Now, I'm not saying every expat experience is doomed. Plenty of people thrive in their adopted countries. But for every blissful Instagram post of someone sipping a cocktail on a beach, there's a less glamorous reality some expats face. We're talking culture shock, bureaucratic nightmares, and the crushing realization that maybe, just maybe, you should have packed an industrial-sized tub of Marmite before moving to that tropical island. So buckle up, because we're about to take a trip around the world exploring the reasons why some expats end up regretting their decision to move abroad. From the scorching heat of the Middle East to the surprisingly complex world of British weather, we'll uncover the challenges that can turn a dream move into a living nightmare. Let's get started. Our first stop takes us to Saudi Arabia, a country often associated with oil wealth and strict interpretations of Islamic law. Saudi Arabia enforces a strict dress code, particularly for women, who are required to wear an abaya, a loose-fitting, full-length robe, in public. Now I know what you're thinking. John, it's just a piece of clothing, and you're not wrong, but imagine having to factor in a whole extra garment in a climate where temperatures regularly soar above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But the cultural restrictions go far beyond clothing. Gender segregation is another aspect of Saudi Arabian life that can be challenging for expats. Public spaces are often divided into men's and women's sections, and socializing between unmarried men and women is generally frowned upon. And let's not forget about the restrictions on alcohol and public entertainment. While Saudi Arabia has recently loosened some of these regulations, finding a bar or nightclub can still feel like searching for a unicorn in a desert. So, before you pack your bags for Saudi Arabia, it's crucial to ask yourself, can I live within these cultural boundaries? Next, we journey to Qatar, a tiny peninsula nation jutting out into the Persian Gulf. First and foremost, let's talk about the weather. Imagine stepping out of your front door and being instantly hit with a wall of heat so intense it feels like you've wandered into a preheated oven. That's a typical summer day in Qatar, where temperatures can soar above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. In Qatar, the extreme heat permeates every aspect of life. You can't just stroll down the street without feeling like you're melting into a puddle of sweat. But the heat isn't the only thing that can make life in Qatar challenging for expats. Public displays of affection are generally frowned upon, and dress codes, while not as strict as in Saudi Arabia, still require a certain level of modesty. Making friends can be challenging, especially if you're not part of the expat bubble. So, before you book that one-way ticket to Qatar, ask yourself, can I handle the heat, both literally and figuratively? From the deserts of the Middle East, we now venture to the largest country on Earth, Russia. Russia has a lot to offer: stunning architecture, rich history, and a certain enigmatic charm that's hard to resist. But before you pack your ushanka and start brushing up on your Dostoevsky, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or should I say the babushka in the endless queue at the local government office. Bureaucracy in Russia is not just a system, it's an art form, a meticulously crafted labyrinth designed to test the patience of even the most seasoned expat. Imagine needing a simple document like a visa extension and being sent on a wild goose chase through a maze of government offices. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded and riding a unicycle. Technically possible, but incredibly frustrating. And just when you think you finally navigated the labyrinth and emerged victorious, you discover it's expired, and the whole process starts all over again. Let's talk about the language barrier. While English is increasingly spoken in major cities, venturing beyond the cosmopolitan bubble can feel like entering a linguistic no man's land. So before you book that one-way ticket to Russia, ask yourself, am I prepared to embrace the chaos? Next, we travel to China, a country of ancient traditions, rapid modernization, and enough cultural quirks to make even the most seasoned expat feel like they've stumbled onto the set of a surreal, slightly dystopian sci-fi film. Let's talk about the Great Firewall, that infamous digital barrier that separates China's internet from the rest of the world. Imagine trying to scroll through your Facebook feed, only to be met with an error message, or attempting to catch up on the latest episode of your favorite Netflix show, only to discover it's unavailable in your region. That's life behind the Great Firewall, where access to information is carefully curated and controlled. It's like living in a parallel universe where Google is replaced with Baidu, Facebook is a distant memory, and your newsfeed consists primarily of state-sanctioned media. But the internet censorship is just one aspect of the cultural adjustment expats face in China. Imagine stepping outside and being greeted by a thick haze of smog so dense it feels like you can taste the pollution. Chinese culture, steeped in tradition and often shrouded in subtle social cues, can be a minefield for even the most well-intentioned expat. So, before you book that one-way ticket to China, ask yourself, am I prepared to embrace the unknown? Now we hop across the globe to the United Kingdom, a land of tea, crumpets, and a certain self-deprecating charm that's as endearing as it is baffling. Let's talk about the weather, because, let's face it, the weather in the UK is less of a conversation starter and more of a national obsession. Imagine waking up to a sky so gray it looks like a giant pigeon decided to relieve itself directly over your house. That's a typical day in the UK, where sunshine is often seen as a fleeting and precious commodity. It's not just the rain, it's the unpredictability of it all. You can step outside in the morning with clear skies and a gentle breeze, only to find yourself caught in a torrential downpour 5 minutes later. But the weather is just one aspect of the cultural adjustment expats face in the UK. Let's talk about the cost of living because, let's be honest, London can suck your bank account drier than a Dyson on full power. Then there's the whole Brexit debacle, which has left expats feeling about as welcome as a vegan at a sausage fest. So, before you book that one-way ticket to the UK, ask yourself, am I prepared to embrace the drizzle and the drama? Finally, we arrive in the United States of America, a land of opportunity, innovation, and enough contradictions to make your head spin faster than a rodeo bull on a sugar rush. Let's talk about healthcare because, let's be honest, the US healthcare system is about as straightforward as a game of Twister played on a trampoline while blindfolded. Imagine getting a simple checkup and then receiving a bill that looks more like the national debt of a small island nation. That's the reality for many Americans, and it's enough to make even the healthiest person break out in a cold sweat. It's not just the cost, it's the constant fear that one unexpected illness or accident could financially cripple you. But the healthcare system is just one aspect of the cultural adjustment expats face in the US. Let's talk about the cultural divide because, let's be honest, the US is a melting pot of cultures, but it's also a country where political and social issues can be as divisive as a Thanksgiving dinner with your crazy uncle. Then there's the issue of gun violence, which, let's face it, is about as American as apple pie and baseball, but not in a good way. Imagine living with the constant fear that a trip to the grocery store or a night out at the movies could turn into a scene from an action film. So, before you book that one-way ticket to the US, ask yourself, am I prepared to embrace the contradictions? So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of some of the reasons why expats sometimes regret their decision to move abroad. From cultural differences that run deeper than a plate of hummus, to bureaucratic nightmares that would make Kafka proud, the challenges are real, and they're not for the faint of heart. But before you tear up your passport and swear off international travel forever, remember that for every expat horror story, there are countless tales of triumph and adventure. Living abroad, even with its challenges, can be an incredibly rewarding experience, broadening your horizons, challenging your perspectives, and introducing you to new cultures, cuisines, and ways of life. The key is to do your research, manage your expectations, and choose a destination that aligns with your values, your lifestyle, and perhaps most importantly, your tolerance for bureaucracy and bizarre weather patterns. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Let us know in the comments if you've had any experiences living abroad and how you dealt with the challenges. See you next time. Bye for now.